Okay, YouTube, we ready, Marion? We good? Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this regular meeting Tuesday, August 3rd to order at 10 a.m. Supervisor Klein, will you lead us in the pledge? And our invocation will be given by Nick Montague. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful that we're able to meet today, and we ask Thee to have the Spirit to be with the Board of Supervisors, that you will be able to help them come to the right decisions that is needed through the county, and to please help them to ponder and think with Thy intent, and say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, first item we have on 2 is presentation of the 2020-2021 Gila County Teacher of the Year Award to Miss Amanda Moray. Mr. Sandoval, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board of Supervisors, guests. Thank you for being here today. You know, I spent 34 years in education. I heard so many people who talked about teachers, but never taught. And I don't think I ever saw anyone come from another profession into teaching that wasn't sick and crying by November when they were faced with a classroom of 28 kids and they were healthy and the teacher was sick and put in for a sub, but there were no subs, so they had to go ahead and come in. And this is what teachers face every day. And now the pressure is really risen on teachers because half of their time is in the classroom, and then the other half is preparing lessons online. And we perceive that you just video yourself to have lessons online. But I can tell you, doing a lot of consulting with online schools, that it takes an entirely different skill set. And so these teachers are working twice as hard now to try and deliver through this whole COVID thing, to try and deliver great services. And fewer people are going in and fewer people are staying in. But we do have some wonderful bright spots. This year we had a great number of nominees for Teacher of the Year. We had a pretty rigorous rubric that we went through in a giant stack, and someone rose to the top. And Amanda rose to the top. Come on up here. If you don't know her, she is a Globe native. Been here for her whole life till she was 17. She took off. She flew, but she flew to Africa, right? And then she flew to Mexico, and she taught and got her master's degree and felt compelled to come back to Globe and is right now teaching these kids in Globe and just delivering tremendous services, according to Jerry and according to all the nominations that we read about her. So it's my honor to present her to you as the Gila County Rural School Teacher of the Year. And in addition to that, I understand from the Executive Director of Rural Schools that she's a very, very strong contender for the Arizona Rural School Teacher of the Year. So, Amanda?
Good
Do you have
job.
a few words that you'd like to say? before she speaks, we have a check for $500,
Thank you.
a beautiful plaque. You get to use Mr. Jenick's office for the next year entirely and his staff. And the Board of Supervisors is providing a Cadillac Escalade for you. Just kidding on that part, but go ahead, and we'd like to hear from you.
Board of Supervisors, Chair, guests, thank you so kindly. From the bottom of my heart, I just want to go for and let you know that I very much appreciate this award that you guys have given me. Education for me has always been very important. As mentioned, I'm from this small community, and I feel like this town gave me a lot of opportunities. And so when I left for college, I did what I had to do, and whenever the opportunity came back, it was time to pay it forward. So, sorry, I'm really terrible at public speaking. I always get cotton mouth.
It's okay.
Just pretend they're your students.
Pop quiz. No, just kidding. So, but honestly, even though I got the award, I really think that this award is for everyone in my school, and especially for my students. They're the reason that I try to go above and beyond to offer them, in my opinion, the best education. I make activities so that we can play. Thanks to everyone that has been super receptive and allowed me to try and experiment with different kinds of activities. We've got to bring a curriculum to Globe High that is kind of new, interesting. We've also got to take the kids on really cool trips, and they've got to have awesome experiences. My first year, I got to take a group to Costa Rica, and we got to learn about Spanish speaking while we made artesian Costa Rican bread. They also got to learn about the language while they were exploring the volcanoes and the different kinds of hydro systems that they have over there. So that was really cool to get to go over and do something so out there with my kids. And this year we're going to do the exact same thing. This year I'm taking the kids on a 2-week trip to Spain. So I'm very excited that I have people like you that go over and support teachers that want to do things like that. And I'm sorry.
I think I want her as my teacher.
You ready to go back to grade school? Okay.
You'll like my classes. They're fun. You can come anytime. So once again, like I said, I would just like to go over and thank you guys so much for this recognition and go over and stress the importance of education in rural schools, because it is challenging, but it's very much worth it. And I'm sure that all the other teachers and our students also appreciate this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, 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 very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, please, we'd love that.
Hide that. Oh, this way. Okay.
Okay. Thank you all very much. That was amazing. Moving on to 3, regular agenda item. Information, discussion, action to authorize the board chairman to sign the revised application agreement and lobbying from required by the National Resource Conservation Service, NRCS, for the amount of $134,000, and extend the construction deadline to December 20th, 2021 to receive funds through the NRCS Emergency Water Protection Program, which will be used to mitigate flood issues due to the 2020 bushfire. Wow, about time. Good to see you here. Glad we're finally getting something on the bushfire. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Supervisors. My first item that I'd like to talk about is a request for approval to revise an agreement with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, known as NRCS, and that is for funding for the Emergency Watershed Protection Program. So a little background: on January 5th, 2021, Gila County Public Works came to the board for approval to enter into an agreement with NRCS regarding the bushfire of 2020, which burned 193,455 acres. The fire burned in the mountains west of Tonto Basin, causing severe damage. Public Works is coming back to the board to revisit and approve the revised application in the amount of $134,000, of which Gila County is responsible for 25% of this construction total. So, in conclusion, NRCS has agreed to the bank protection for this coming project and along Reno Creek, and it will protect citizens and property in Pumpkin Center and Tonto Basin. And the property is adjacent to the school and private property. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen, do you have questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Tom. I really don't have a question.
Okay, Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Tom, is this all we're going to get out of them for mitigation? Is for these?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and Woody. Yes, sir. This is the from the 2020 fire. This will be the only thing that NRCS is going to fund for this for that.
Well, I
fire.
appreciate them funding at least that much of it. Every little bit helps, obviously. One of these days maybe we can address the issue of what took so long. But
Yes, sir.
But thank you for your time and working on this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Tom, thank you very much. Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the board chairman to sign the revised application agreement and lobbying form required by the NRCS for the amount of $134,000 and extend the construction deadline to December 20, 2021.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, having a motion second. All in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Moving on, Tom, you get the next one
Yes, sir.
as well.
Yes.
Okay, 3B, information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bid number 070921, Reno Creek Bank Protection for flood mitigation from the 2020 bushfire.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Supervisors. So this item, again, is related to Reno Creek, and our request is to authorize to advertise invitations for bids for the Reno Creek Bank Protection Project, and that is what's shown up on the screen. And again, this was from the bushfire back in July of 2020, and many areas in the Tonto region are threatened by flooding from the washes and creeks as a result of the burn scar. So one area in particular was Reno Creek that was looked at by NRCS and Gila County Public Works. And then the proposed action is to create a stream bank protection using gabion baskets. And the values of risk east of the Highway 188 included the Tonto Basin Fire Station, which has since moved, but that building is still being used for other items. The Tonto Basin Elementary School, and other private property. So Gila County hired a contract to remove brush and trees in the creek east of Highway 188 until NRCS could develop a plan. And we have that plan in place now. We have 100% plans, an estimate, and specifications from our design engineer. And so we are asking for approval to move forward with an invitation for bids for the project.
Okay. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you. No, I don't have.
Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Tom, when do you expect us to see some work started on that?
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman and Woody, we expect to advertise this project this month, and then it's on a fast track because we have to have all of the work done by December 20th in order to get the matching funds from NRCS. So this is on a fast track. So we are going to advertise coming up in August for 2 weeks, and then we will open bids and come back for approval to award the project. And then it's going to be a 60-day working project, 60 working days. And again, everything will have to be done by December 20th.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I have no further questions, so I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize advertisement of invitation for bids number 070921.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, item was approved. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, 3C, information discussion action to approve the use of Arizona procurement contract number CTR 050894 with Janiserve Incorporated to provide after-hour janitorial services for both southern and northern regions of Gila County in the amount of $204,216.73.
Got to keep that sense. Good morning.
Chris, good morning.
How are you doing, Mr. Chairman, members of the board? I'm here to ask your approval today for this contract for Janiserve. We've used Janiserve down here primarily for the past couple of years in the southern region, but we're also asking now to start up at the northern region because of our added square footage that we're going to be having. We have used them since 2017. They've done a very good job for us, and we just would like to keep on going with them.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good. Thank you, Chris.
Just one question. You mentioned that you've used them for years and they've done a great job. I'm kind of one that would like to throw them out for bid every once in a while. And I'm just curious if we put out for bid and just got no other bids or no other bids that were as good as this one was, or?
This year we did it on state contract. Prior, and this is before I came on board, we did a bid. They came in low. We did have for the northern region one company that came in lower that we hired for the northern region, but they weren't able to perform per contract. We had to get rid of them, and we took up the extra slack with our own people up there.
Yeah.
But we are going to have quite a bit more square footage. Since then, we've added our probation, teen center, health department, community services, and by the end of the year, it will be the complex. So we need this help.
Okay, yeah, no, good. I just like to see things go up for bid once in a while, and if the same guy gets it for 10 years, great, but given some other businesses opportunities. So that was my only question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And if there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to approve the use of Arizona procurement contract number CTR 050894 with the Janiserve Incorporated.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, item was approved. Thank you, Chris. Are you going to hang around for a little while? Sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to regular agenda item 3D. Information discussion action to approve the intergovernmental agreement contract number CTR 055997 with the Arizona Department of Health Services for COVID-19 health disparities in the amount of $567,203 for the period beginning June 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2023. Mr. O'Driscoll, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So the Board of Supervisors has previously approved this funding. So this is just me coming in front of you with a signed IGA from the state of Arizona Health Department Services to make it sort of official. This is how they get us the funding for this particular grant. So in previous meetings, we have gone in front of you to accept this funding, and you have approved it. But this is just the IGA from them saying, here it is. So what I'm looking for is an approval to accept this IGA.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen, do you have questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Michael. I do not have a question for you.
Supervisor Klein?
You sure you want more money, Michael?
I have one more after today, and I'm done.
I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. If there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 055997 with the Arizona Department of Health Services as presented.
I will second.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved.
Thank
you. You're on for a while, man. Don't go away. Information schedule on 3E. Information discussion action to approve an intergovernmental agreement contract number CTR 055639 with the Arizona Department of Health Services for COVID-19 school social support services during quarantine and isolation in the amount of $828,927 for the period beginning August 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022. Again, Mr. O'Driscoll.
Thank you again, members of the board. This is exactly like the previous item. The board has approved this in previous meetings, and this is just to accept the signed IGA, the official IGA from the State Health Department as the pathway to get us these fundings.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you. No questions.
Supervisor Klein?
Michael, I still have the question. I'm sure it's the same answer, but what if we can't spend all this money?
Well, if you remember last board meeting, in this particular case, we're contracting all of this out.
Okay.
So we have many open positions, and we're not seeing a lot of people applying for them.
Okay.
So we've switched from trying to hire people, get them in place, because the expiration dates on many of these grants are anywhere from 10 to 18 months. Mm-hmm. And one of them has 2 years, but they're very short. So we're finding it very difficult to find people, train them, and have them go out and do some of these deliverables. So we are switched over to a new strategy to RFP and contract almost all these out.
You know, I read through this a couple days ago and looked at this again, and I'm reading through it on the wraparound services and support for isolation and whatnot. There's no telling how many cases we may even have, right?
No, we are seeing an increase. We were getting approximately 10 to 12 cases a week in the last several weeks. We were up to 100 about 2 weeks ago, and now we're about 80 for the last 2 weeks. So we've seen a dramatic increase. And also with it's a complicated issue because the legislation that was passed and signed by Governor Ducey that prohibits the schools from mandating masks. And we had a long conversation with the superintendents yesterday about this. We're getting funding to sort of try and prevent the spread of COVID, yet some of the legislation coming out is in conflict with what we're getting the funding for. So it's sort of making our job a little bit more difficult. And we also have another state law that gives the health directors power to go into a school and mandate masks. So we're sort of in between going, what do we do? And in comes $820,000 for school wraparound services. And so we've already started some of these deliverables, meeting with the superintendents. And so we're sort of like right in the middle. Mm-hmm. They're sort of squeezing us on both ends here. And the school superintendents, they don't know which way to go legally. I don't know which way to go legally. So the good thing about this funding, when we hired a contractor to go ahead and do this, they aren't prohibited like I am for doing some of these services. So they're going to be contacting, and they are in contact with the superintendents and meeting with the principals to work with every positive COVID child that we have and work with the parents to see what we can do to help. Testing, on a regular basis. We could do daily tests. We could do weekly tests. We want to make sure that when a child is positive, especially with this Delta variant, which is quite a lot more transmittable than the other variants. We want to make sure that that child is isolated, even from family. Because if they have family at home and they're in a high-risk population and they're unvaccinated, then we also have another issue. So this funding is going to help us give more directly to the parents and the child and help them out, and hopefully reduce the transmission in schools. Because if we've seen with our data, it's unfortunate, but we barely have anybody under the age of 18 vaccinated in Gila County. We have a huge number. We're one of the best in the state still. We have over 80% of our high-risk population vaccinated. But the under 18, we're just not seeing that. There's a lot of parents bringing them in for the vaccine.
Thank you, Michael.
Oh, you betcha, sir.
This question, when you say schools, is that pretty broad, like daycare, Boys and Girls Club, anybody that's offering a type
This
of
is-
education, or is it like Unified School District?
Yeah, this is specifically for all schools,
Okay.
not the daycare centers.
Okay.
So-
I was just
Yeah,
curious.
And
I
sometimes
was just trying to help you
some of this-
spend money.
Yeah, yeah, and that's complicated too, because sometimes some of this funding, excludes the different types of schools, the charter schools from the regular schools.
Right.
And so we see that, but this funding allows us to go into every school in Gila County.
Okay. Well, good. I thank you very much.
you're
And if there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve an intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 055639 with the Arizona Department of Health Services as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Michael, you got another one.
Great. Yes.
On to F, information discussion action to approve a shopping center lease between Gila County and Globe Marketplace LP at a cost of $2,833.79 a month for the period of August 10th, 2021 through August 9th, 2026 for property located at Cobra Valley Plaza, 2250 Highway 6070, Suite 1, Globe, Arizona.
Great. Thank you again. So this item is, as you can imagine, much of this funding that has been given to us by the State Health Department and CDC for COVID has put a squeeze on our space in the health department down here at our Central Heights office. Very similar to about 6 months to the issue we had up in Payson. We're required to have testing sites. We're required to have vaccination sites. So we have no space available, and we're sort of cramming people into our health department right now. And so this lease is going to relieve us, of that pressure of squeezing everybody into a small space. So it's all paid for by grants. This is our prevention team. So we're going to keep our COVID team at our clinic and in our Central Heights office, and we're going to move out our prevention team for 5 years. That's why most of the COVID funding ends in 2 years. That's why this is a 5-year lease, because this comes from different grants. But it's 100% grant funded, and it'll allow us to actually provide a better working environment for our staff at our Central Heights office. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. Michael, how large a space is this?
It's approximately, I think it's about 1,800 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a good space. We're going to be able to fit 9 employees in there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I'm good.
Okay, then I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the shopping center lease with Globe Marketplace LP as presented.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Michael, thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Sounds like I got a whole pile of paperwork after this to sign. Okay. Moving on to G, information discussion action to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Apache Junction City and Gila County Community Service Housing Department to receive community development block grant applications through Central Arizona Government for fiscal year 2021 to the city and fiscal year 2022 to Gila County. Good morning, Melissa Busan. How are you today?
I'm good. Good morning, Chairman Humphrey and members of the board. This is an IGA. it's community development block grants that has gotten continuously cut back and cut back. We have in the past never partnered. A lot of towns and cities partner to get the bigger chunk, and we've never done that. But this year, I felt that it was needed. It's gone small enough that it's just at some point it's not worth the paperwork sometimes. So when we get a bigger chunk, we'll be able to help more people. And so that's what this is, an IGA with Apache Junction. They too reached out to me, and so this year they'll get our portion. Next year we'll get their portion.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you. No, I don't have a question.
Supervisor Klein?
I think I'm good, Melissa. Thanks.
I think it's a great deal. I'm on Central Arizona Government Board, and we do that a lot with road money and things like that. So I think it's a good deal to help you get bigger projects done. So if there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will move to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Apache Junction and Gila County Community Services Housing Department to receive community development block grant applications as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Melissa, you have H as well. Information, discussion, action to approve a lease agreement with the Payson Unified School District for the facility located at 501 South McLean Road, Payson, Arizona, whereby the county will lease space for its Gila employment and special training program beginning July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. Melissa.
Good morning again. This lease is for our Gila Employment Special Training Program for our developmentally delayed clientele that we have. It's a day program that's located up in Payson. We also have one here. So that's what this lease is.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Yes, thank you. Is this paid for by a grant or?
Yeah, well, it's a fee-for-service program, so yes, sir.
I'm trying to figure out where 501 South McLean is.
It's around the. I'm not from Payson.
I get it
Around
now.
the corner, there's a standalone building that I'm not sure what it housed before.
Oh, it's by the
but
high school?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
All right. All right, thank you. No, I have no further questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Melissa, how many folks do we have you in this?
So the COVID has hit us pretty hard up in, is it, you asking for Payson Day program? So right now we have 5 that are Monday through Friday, and there are days that we have 8 to 9.
Oh, good.
So that's a more active than down here in the Globe area because of COVID and people keeping their children home, their
Sure.
family
you,
members
Melissa.
home.
Appreciate it. I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve a lease agreement with the Payson Unified School District as presented.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to I. Mary, maybe you should have brought your chair. You got the rest of them.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on 3I. Information, discussion, action to authorize the publication of a notice of public auction of miscellaneous surplus material in the Arizona Silver Belt newspaper on August 11th, 2021. Mary Springer.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. I think it's been over a year since I came to you with a list for auction, but COVID hit us with live auctions like everything else. So hopefully we're going to be able to conduct a live auction on September 18th. And that'll be down here in Globe up at the landfill. And we'll utilize Facebook and other means of publication so we get the word out there that we are having a live auction. So cross your fingers.
Okay. Good. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mary. Is there any reason we should advertise as well in Payson paper?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, we will be advertising up there as well.
Oh, you.
And we'll have a listing on our website so they can go in and take a look and see. But we had quite a good turnout at the last public auction. And if we made in one day, where we used to use the online service, we had a lot of people that didn't pay. So we sold everything. Everybody paid on that. Very good event.
Great, thank you.
Supervisor Klein. Are you going to be able to get Homer for an auctioneer again?
We're going to try.
Okay, I'm good.
Not Homero,
No, different Homer.
different Homer.
Okay. No, great. I think it's a good thing. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the publication of a notice of public auction for miscellaneous surplus materials as presented.
And I'll second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item
Thank
was
you.
approved. Okay, we're going on to J, information discussion action for the Board of Supervisors to ratify its approval for the county manager's signature on contract number 031221 with John S. Perlman to provide legal services for a public fiduciary in a not-to-exceed amount of $25,000 per year for 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options. Mary Springer, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a contract. At the time, we took it to the county manager because it was below the $50,000 threshold. But because it's a 3-year contract, the total amount is $75,000, not $25,000 per year. So we needed to come back, bring it back to you, and ask that you ratify his signature on that contract.
Thank you. Questions, Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you. No, I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein?
How much do they actually get used through our fiduciary?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, I don't know. That's a question for the public fiduciary. I'm not quite sure, because I know that they use them for like conservatorship, or if somebody needs somebody to take over their financials. So I'm really not sure.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
And we don't have anybody from that department here today. Okay. Okay, then if you're satisfied, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval for the county manager's signature on contract number 031221 with John S. Perlman as presented.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Okay, on to K, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 21-08-02, establishing guidelines for the selection of the Gila County Redistricting Advisory Committee to include duties and responsibilities of committee members and to adopt redistricting principles for the Board of Supervisors and the community. And the committee. Mary Springer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. Last week we had a presentation where we brought forth the guidelines and the committee, the advisory committee guidelines and the guiding principles. So today I'm back to you asking you to approve adopt the resolution adopting those guiding principles and the committee guidelines. And then also I included the publication that we want to go forward with in the newspaper, asking for soliciting folks to sit on that committee. And we're hoping that you have reviewed and you approve those items.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you. Yeah, I was kind of thinking we did this already, I thought, but no. Thank you, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, if there's no questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt resolution number 21-08-02.
And I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Going on to L, information discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to Economic Development Grant Agreement number
302020 with the Town of Miami to provide funding for Copper Mountain Transit in the amount of $73,000 for the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. Mary Springer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. At this time, I'd like, he's right here.
And Mitch. Oh,
He
excuse-
snuck up on me.
Yeah.
Town Manager Micah Gaudet, he's got a presentation for you as far as the what went on in the past year with Copper Mountain.
Chairman, members, supervisors, thank you again for your commitment to the Copper Mountain Transit Authority. This past year, just quick numbers for you guys, we drove over 90,000 miles, served over 10,000 different passengers across this area. So we've definitely done I think a great job in delivering essential services to those without transit and with those without transportation needs. I also want to say that for the town of Miami's perspective, $73,000 is not a small sum of money. And we understand that you could spend that money on other needed programs, but in the past and today, hopefully, dedicating that sum of money to the Copper Mountain Transit Authority places a moral and fiduciary responsibility to spend it the right way. And so a couple things that we have done to make sure that we are spending that money properly and getting in compliance. We approved a procurement policy for transit specifically that ADOT asked us to approve. And we also paid back the federal interest payment for a vehicle that was cannibalized back in 2018. So with these two steps, we are now in compliance with ADOT and moving what I think is the right direction to ensure that those who give money to the town and those who are the city of Globe and the town of Miami and Gila County, that they know it's being spent the right way and it's going the right direction. But again, thank you for your support, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Question, Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Micah. I have a question. Maybe Mary's the one to answer, but the $73,000. So is that a grant? Is that general funds? Where does that money come from?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, every year we budget that. It does come out of the general fund. It is an economic development grant, but it's budgeted in general fund.
Okay, so it does come from a grant, though.
It's a grant from the county to the town of Miami.
Oh, I see. I understand now. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm good. Thank you, Micah.
Yeah, I'm good, so I'll call for a motion.
Is it mine?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 1 to Economic Development Grant Agreement number 07302020 with the town of Miami as presented.
I will second.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item was approved, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to M.
I walked out too soon.
Well, yeah, your name's not on it, but you get it anyway. Information, discussion, action to approve the budgeted and unbudgeted interfund transfers to include COVID-19 related transfers.
Thank you. I'm doing my Mirren impression, and she'll be laughing in her office because she's watching you on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
We're asking the board to table this item till the next board meeting. We have to go back because it's the COVID funds. We need to make sure it's exact so we don't have an issue with our audits down the road. And so we need to double check our numbers. So we're asking the board to table the item.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, then I'll call for a motion to table.
Mr. Chairman, I move to table item 3M at this time.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor to table that item, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item
you.
is tabled. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving along to consent agenda action items. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed and voted upon as regular agenda item upon the request of any member of the Board of Supervisors. Does any member on the board care to pull anything off the consent and put it and discuss it as a regular agenda item?
I do not.
Okay, then if no one cares to take anything off, then I'll call for a motion to accept consent agenda items A through L.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda items A through L, 4A through 4L.
I will second.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Consent agenda items were approved. Now we will go to call to the public. Do we have any public up in Payson that would care to address the board today?
No, sir.
Do we have anyone on YouTube today? How many people do we have on YouTube today?
At the highest, we had 14.
14? Well, that's great. I'm glad to see people getting interested in attending our meetings. Okay, then I will move on to item 6. At any time during the meeting pursuant to ARS 38-431.02K. Members of the Board of Supervisors and County Manager may present a brief summary of current events. No action may be taken on information presented, and I usually forget the County Manager, whom happens to be Jackie Sanders today. So you're welcome to go first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have just two brief comments. One is that I want to make sure we acknowledge the giant outpouring of community support in assisting the town of Miami with their flooding issues. We had ADOT showed up, Town of Superior showed up, City of Globe showed up, Gila County showed up, Gila County Sheriff's Office showed up with trustees. That was community members showed up, businesses showed up, ADOT, like APS. I mean, it was a full-on community effort. And I just think we ought to acknowledge that was a pretty amazing group. And my only other update is that I just want to remind you all that next Tuesday we have a leadership team meeting with all of the elected officials and department heads. And that's my update.
Okay, did they all hear that?
They got an invite.
I hope they get the memo, huh? Okay, good enough. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a lot. This last week we had a blood draw there in Payson. Went well, I think, and I was invited to a barbecue at the Star Valley Park, the McDaniel Park, and that included a lot of the town of Star Valley and some of the town of Payson councilmen and people. So it was nice, good deal. And met with Homero and I met with former Mayor Kenny Evans, who is now the president of the MHA Foundation. And so he brought us up to speed on what they're doing with broadband and Sparklight. And so I know I learned some things. I think Homero did too. So we're starting to work with that group to show support for the expansion of broadband in Payson area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So on July 27th, I attended the County Board of Health meeting with Michael. Thank you, Michael. And on 28th, I had a workforce meeting that had to be canceled right after we started because we're lacking one for a quorum. And then on July 30th, Daryl came out and visited with us there in Young on the admin site. We took a look at all that, went through some buildings. That was really a good day. So thank you, Daryl. And the other thing I wanted to throw out there is the YCC crews. If you all remember, we're looking for a crew here in Globe and one in Payson. But we're still looking for 4 mentors, ages 18 to 25. And we're looking for 2 of them in Payson and 2 of them down here. And they would start work September 6th, and they'd have a week of training. And then the program ends on October 29th. And then they're going to also be looking for crew members, ages 18 to 21, 6 in Payson and 6 in Globe. So with that, that's all I got. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I attended a CAG regional council meeting. I'll be holding a Tonto Basin meeting this evening for general public. Also, too, we've had some concerns about builders and realtors and things in the Tonto Basin area because that place is really growing. So we're going to put together a Tonto Basin meeting with county staff to to discuss community development, planning, zoning, water, and ordinances, and that'll be Thursday. Thursday at 9 a.m. And so that'll be an interesting meeting. I think it's great to get in front of them and inform them. And then I'll hold a Roosevelt community meeting on Monday, August the 9th. And thank you very much for the shout out, Jackie. I'd also like to thank the Red Cross for their volunteer. And they are moved into the old Safeway building, and they were handing out flood kits for people that had water into their houses with brooms and things of that nature, whatever they need to clean up a mess. And so I thank them very much and would like everybody to know that if they would care to be a Red Cross volunteer, the Red Cross does need volunteers, and they're willing to train you so you can be a Red Cross volunteer. And so if there's anybody in the community that would like to perhaps do that, and it's not required of you, you're a volunteer. If they call you and you have time, they would love your help. And if they call you and you don't have time, that's okay. So anyway, they've done great things through our floods. They show up with bells on and really try to help the community. And so I appreciate that very much. And if no one has anything else, I will adjourn today's meeting.
I think you got a record there.